Right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see here. Let's take a look. What's going on, SK? Good morning, my man. Let me just send a message saying we are live on YouTube in the Discord. All right. Good morning, SK Bunter. Good morning, BSL. Having a hard time pronouncing that. Bapender. Good morning, my man. Edgar, good morning. Mark, good morning. Joshua, good morning. Don, good morning. SK the baller. Vishnu, good morning. G5, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Let me know if audio and video is clear while we wait for 5 minutes for everybody to tune in here. Nancy, good morning. Sky, good morning, my man. All right, so we'll wait about 3 more minutes, get everybody in here, and then we'll get right to it. Mark, look at FSLY. Remind me after I go over the market analysis, and we'll take a look at FSLY. But they had an earnings, and they just plummeted. Loud and clear, perfect. Ed, good morning. Daniel Gonzalez, good morning. Vishnu just coming in here and slamming tickers. All right, we'll wait 2 more minutes and then we'll get right to it. It's crazy the number of people that actually sleep till like 9:15 Eastern time and then wake up with like 15 minutes to go before the market opens. But it is what it is. Wade, good afternoon from the UK, my man. Edgar, good morning in the hood. It's what's good in the hood. Come on, man. Everyone asks about the stock, but nobody asks how is Ali. What's up, bro? For real, Edgar. Nobody asks about my feelings. Mr. Needham, good morning. Because you are the best. No, you are the best. All right, so we got about a minute to go here, and then we're gonna get cracking. Eric, good morning. All right, got a few more people rolling in here, which is great. And we'll get right to it here. How's it going, Ali? Still dark here in Canada. Do you mean Canada or California? I got pretty light. It's light out here for me. Wishing you an awesome day, Ali. Edgar, my man. Diana, good morning. All right, guys, it's 8:35. We're going to get started here. And as always, we'll start with the market. All right, so let's talk about what's been happening. Clearly, looking at this chart, we see that every time we come up to this 440, 441 level, we are rejecting. So what are we forming here? We're forming some sort of overhead resistance. All right. Now, what I'm looking for here, if we can break above that 440, 441.80 area, it'll actually spring us higher. Okay, so that's the key thing that I'm looking for today. But not to say that if we roll over and lose the 20 moving average, we won't fall down. Okay, so we have to have levels, available on both sides, the top and the bottom. And that's why every morning with, the pre-market plan that I give you guys gives the levels on both directions, right? The stock market is a bunch of if statements, okay? If this, then that, all right? And that's the simple equation of it here, right? So if we break this, then we're looking to go there. Or if we break this, then we're looking to go there. All right, so again, we can see this clear move up off of that 50-day moving average, consolidated sideways very nicely. Last week, we had those, chop fest kind of events happening. And we're just straight, consolidation right here. A break above that 441, 440.80 area, I think gives us a nice push to the upside. However, will that happen today is really unknown. We're going to have to wait and find out. But that is the level we're looking at, all right? And let's take a look in the closer time frame and bring back those massive levels that I have on my charts. And here we are again, right? So clearly, this 441, 441.20 area has been acting as resistance on the top side. Same thing goes with this 440.20 area. Clearly, yesterday that was an area of rejection. All day essentially, we popped up, rejected it, popped up, rejected it. And then the 438 is acting as support, right? So like I said, the main level we need to monitor going into today is that 440. Will we break above that 440 and continue to attempt to that 441? If so, then that's a good sign for us, right? If we can do that, sorry, 1 second. So if we can do that, then we can see it push up to this 441 level and then ultimately 442.14. And if we get enough strength, then we're looking at a push towards that 444 area, right? However, if we reject, if we can't maintain above this, if we do what we did yesterday, then we're looking to pull back down to that 438, right? 438 level, clear support right here with that big bottoming wick right here. We can pull down here, lose that, and we'll go to 437 and ultimately 436, and I think we should hold weight there, right? So these are the levels we're watching. I write them down every morning for you guys. Make sure you go ahead and monitor them. Now let's go pop back out to the monthly and check the Qs. All right, here we are on the Qs. Let me clean up this chart. There we go. So same story here again. However, slightly doing better than the SPY, right? Not very much. It performed a little bit better the last 2 days, and that was evident with, looking at the sectors. However, same kind of story again here, right? So we pushed up, we kind of forming this rounding bottom right here. Ideally, I want this to break that 368.90, 369 level to continue higher, but there is also room on the downside if we decide to lose that 20 moving average again, right? Still respecting the 20-day moving average, respected it before, and it's doing very well. Still, overall, it's doing fairly well, and we need to just monitor the short-term levels going forward. Let's pop into a closer time frame, and what are we looking at? We're looking at that 368, right, being the level that was rejected yesterday and that is now being held above today. Okay, so that 368 level is a level that we need to maintain above. Okay, if we maintain above this 368 level, we could see a push towards that 368.84, which brings us up to that all-time high level on the Qs. Now, if we break above that, we're looking for a move towards that 369 level, 369.90, right, which is the level on the QQQs.
right around there. And then if we break that, we would really need some significant volume, some significant strength, some of the bigger names, Apple, Microsoft, etc., to kind of move along with it. Then we can see a move towards that 372 area. All right, all these levels again are given in the Discord. You guys go ahead and take a look at it and make sure you make notes on those levels and understand, where can be the next area that we go to. Okay, and that's as far as the QQQ goes. All right, so every day, guys, get into the habit of drawing your support and resistance lines. Right, every day that we see a resistance area, it actually pans out to respect in the days to come. Okay, so let's zoom back out. Go to the daily chart on the Q and just get another look at it again. Once again, big move up, pulling back, consolidating, rounding bottom, expecting this thing to really break out and go. However, we are ready if it does decide to pull on us. Okay, that's as far as the SPY and the QQQ goes, guys. So I'm going to pop into chat here. A little bit of a quicker session as far as the Qs and the SPY goes. But we're respecting those levels and we'll see how the morning plays out. So if you guys have questions right now, go ahead and let me know. I'll go ahead and go over the tickers with you guys and see what your thoughts are. If you guys are mentioning a ticker, make sure you let me know if you're looking to invest in it short term, long term, or what your game plan wants to be, or even as a day trade. That way I can address it more directly. All right. So a name that I saw earlier was FSLY. So obviously FSLY, guys, this is the chart on FSLY. Clearly under the moving averages, downtrend. This 39.47 was the last line of defense on it, and it's currently sitting at 34.80. Right. So let's take a look. There we go. So we lost that area. Now it's kind of sitting in that 34 level. Let's take a look. We got to zoom out and see what is our next level of support. Right, we have this 35 level, which was little support, and there's really not much until maybe we come down to that 27 area. Right, why is that? Because from this point right here, let me zoom in so you can see, from this pivot point right here, which is the 35, we had a clear straight move with not much price action taking place. Right, so this gives us that hollow space. So if this thing remains under that 35.64 level, it can actually see a drastic pull down to that 27, right? So you need to monitor that and ensure that you're not trying to chase something on the long side just because you think it's oversold. You need to find a support level, whether that support level comes at 27 or 25, or whether that support level is the stock reclaiming that 35.65 and you find some sort of basing and you can start a obviously no short-term positions on this one as there's no patterns, but maybe a long-term position you can start here with room to add if and when it ever does pull to that 2702 area. Good morning. Diana, I'm not going to go through every single one of those tickers, so I'll just pick one. ZM. So ZM here. Nice chart. I actually have this on watch here. 395, sitting at 395 right now. If we break above that 406.45, I'm expecting this to move higher. Again, why? Simply because we had that big move down. Maybe we see some resistance right here at 417, but then above that, we really open up to that 450 area on ZM. So need this to break above the 406, 407 area, and then we can it kind of opens it up for either day trade and a little bit of a swing trade with a little bit of higher risk, but the swing trade can take it to that 440, 450 area on ZM. So I think I talked about FSLY. OLN been on a swing for 3 months. OLN been on a swing for 3 months. I think this one hit target to one. I can't remember. But anyways, it lost its short-term moving averages slightly and trying to reclaim it again, but having a hard time against that 47 resistance here. Okay, earnings is out of the way, so it really needs to reclaim that 47.12 in order to attempt to go higher here. But yesterday's volume just kissing that 20-day moving average here needs to reclaim the 50 and then the 50 moving average and then the 47.12 in order to attempt higher. Maybe possibly putting in some sort of a head and shoulder pattern here, not the cleanest, but if it does break out over that 49 level, we can see it backtrack towards that 55. Okay, so might need a little bit more patience, but again, got to understand where your entry was, what your stops are going to be. Did you take targets at PT1? If not, you know, your entries, your stops should have been at your entries. OLN. All right, we talked about that. Let's talk about mRNA. So, mRNA. Obviously, a huge, massive run. Something that we have been constantly trading. And, you know, from this falling wedge back in April, this thing just took off, hit that prior resistance area. This is just a beautiful chart. Technically speaking, this is just a gorgeous chart, and I want to bring it to your attention here. Okay, so we have early on, we have this big push on mRNA, and we have this kind of falling wedge. Breaking out of the falling wedge, first targets is what, guys? We have first targets right here at that top of that wedge. Look where it rejected, perfectly rejected that falling wedge, and then came back and respected 50 moving average, right? Now, there's really no pattern here other than, boom, it breaks above this prior high, retested that area as possible entries, and then continues to go higher. Again, retest of that breakout of this prior high, which is right around here, and just pushes it higher, and this thing is off to the races. All right, 422.09 was the top fib line on this thing. However, currently it had ER, you know, respecting that 422 fib line, and now kind of selling off. Will this thing continue higher? If it decides to do that, you know, you might find buyers right here at the 379 level before it continues to move higher. However, again, I don't like trading these stocks that don't have daily patterns. This is just a massive move up. There's nothing significant in this on the daily for me. I can't chase this. I won't chase this. So unless it gives me some sort of a pattern on the intraday level, maybe that's a basing, maybe that's a reversal pattern, I won't be trading this at all. But we'll also keep an eye on it to see what it does over that 433. Because if it does get above that 433, you can see that that 500 area is going to be the next area on mRNA. Roku long term. Roku long term. So Roku is down right now because of earnings. Again, anything that you want to invest in long term, you need to understand what you're investing in. It's just not, you can't invest in Roku because you like the company, or you can't invest in Roku because you know the boxes that they use and you use their system, and you need to understand what their financials look like. You need to understand what they're doing as a company, what their future outlook is, what their profit margins are, what their balance sheet looks like. You need to look at all this before you establish whether you're going to trade a company on the long term. Nobody does that. Most of the people are a lot lazy and they don't want to look into those things, so they just piggyback off of other people's ideas and whatnot. Roku, is it a long term? I don't have it in my long term. Do you want to start a long term on it? Okay, you can. However, you have to give it room to add. So currently sitting at 387, 390. Possibly you can start here. Room to add towards that 200-day moving average, and ideally some adds towards that 273 area. Hood swing. There's nothing to swing in hood. I don't like swinging anything that the WSIB and the Reddit guys are on it. Skills long term, losing a big support here on skills, has room towards that 1070 area. Again, I don't know anything about their financials. Even if you start here, right? Even if you start a long-term position on skills here, what is going to be the bottom line on this thing, right? I mean, it's coming back down almost to its pre, what was it called? Oh my God, I'm blanking out. Anyways, it's coming back to its pre-levels before it even launched and had its debut in the stock market, right? So you could probably maybe start here, start small, with room to add towards that $9 area, but this looks like to be the bottom. So research the company, understand what they do, and if you like them, then you can start a small position with room to add on it. I wouldn't start anything with heavy size right here at these levels. long term on GM and LUV. GM, you can start here long term, 52, room to add. You want to give yourself the ability to add at least 3 to 4 times. For that 47 area for me is a lot better of a position entry on GM because that's the vital area, that multi-month break. You could add towards that 49. You could start here just in case it decides to roll over. So you maybe at the 200, 49, and then 47, and give yourself a pretty decent average and see how this does going forward. LUV. So these airlines are starting to look weaker and weaker as we go forward, right? We had that nice push, now back under the 200 moving average. If you do want to start long term, again, you have to start, with very small size. Airlines are something that are still caught in the headlines. People are still iffy about traveling, I think. Countries are are banning people who are maybe, double vaccinated that are not the same vaccines. Some countries aren't even allowing you in if you're not double vaccinated. So it's putting a lot of strain still on these airlines. In the long term, 4 or 5 years down the road, is it a good play? I think eventually it will be. But again, something that you need to start with small position and then look to add. So 47.50s adds, possibly 43, and then lastly the 38 area. You have to have the ability to add because now we're under the moving averages and we could very easily fall to those $40 levels. eBay need an entry point for swing trade around 68 yesterday. So you need an entry point or you're already in the entry point. Again, eBay, not something that I would trade on the short term, simply because we have that big earnings gap down and kind of bear flag in here. Unless we get back above that 69.40, the chances of this rolling over and losing 67.50 and falling down is very likely, right? And if we do fall down, we can see a move towards that 63. If we lose this 67.30 area, we could very easily come back to that 63 level. So short term, I would not open a swing trade on this one. Open. Let's take a look at open. Open seems very similar to the skills chart here, right? God, I forget what these stocks were called before their debut. Jesus. Anyways, again, wild ride up, crashing right after that January, February area, and just kind of trying to base out here at that 1340 level. So if you're doing 3 months on this, I don't really see much of a short-term trade. Maybe if we get back above that 1550 area, you could try a short-term trade back to that 1670 and ideally 18. However, currently buying this under both the moving averages, not ideal. Okay, because if this does decide to lose support, then you're looking to fall down towards that 12 and that 10, and then your short-term swing trade just turn into a bag hold. Okay, so no pattern, no trade on the short terms. Disney for long term. So Disney coming up to that 200 moving average again here, and trying to hold. Last time we kind of dipped down to that area, it respected it. Again, same thing with Disney. It's not something that you can go all in right here and expect it to just go higher when you enter. Anything in the long term, you have to buy when they're pulling back. You have to get a cost average. So right here, the 200 moving average is always a good point to start. However, you want to give yourself room. So you want to look at worst case scenarios and what can happen, right? So if you start here at that 173 area, you have to understand that the possibilities of this coming down to 166, 160 is there. So you need to have ammunition to add at that 160 level, right? And what happens if worst case scenario we lose that? Then we're looking at a pull all the way back down to that 146, maybe even 137 area. So give yourself room, give yourself ammunition to add as it's going down, so you have a good average to build a nice position. Again, this is only for long terms that you understand what the company is, how their financials look like, are they a good company in the long term, and then that's why you're kind of averaging down. If you don't know much about the company and you don't know anything about their financials and you're just hoping for the future that they come out and do something very well, this is not something you want to do. You don't want to keep adding as it's going down if you know nothing about the company. NVAX for day trade. Let's take a look at NVAX. So NVAX, not bad, right? So we had that nice move yesterday. I think it has earnings today after close, or did it already have earnings? Let's take a look. Yeah, I think it has earnings after close today. Really, this is above that 229 level, right? Need this to get back above the 229, 230, and then see if it forms a pattern here. Ideally on the daily chart. Over that 229, 230 level, this has room to come up to that 242, 248 level, right? So I will be watching this today to keep an eye on it to see how it wants to act at the open. If we did get a nice flush down at the open here, I won't be interested in it. But if this decides to push up and consolidate here, maybe give me some sort of a pattern for entry over that 236, 237 area, possibly take this for a nice ride towards that 242 and then 248 on the upside. All right, so the day trade possibility is there. However, it needs to maintain a nice level out the gates and stay above that 229, 230 level in order for us to find entries on the long side. Where is a good place to enter into Apple on the long term? All right, guys, gonna go over a few more, but as always, make sure you like this video if you guys are already still here. And remember, every Thursday we do go live. We'll be tuning out of here at 9 so I can get back in the room and help the guys out in there. But Apple entries for long term. So this is coming up. Nice strong move, respecting that 20-day moving average, trying to form a nice pennant here. The tighter it gets, the bigger move it's going to come. But again, I don't like starting long-term positions at these all-time high levels simply because we don't know where it's going to go. It could go higher, but if it decides to yank on you, then you're stuck buying the top here. So if you're really eager, if you really want to start a long-term position on this thing, you have to start with a very small position with at least room to add 4 or 5 times here. We are sitting at all-time highs. The all-time highs is 150, stock is sitting at 146. So you have to be worried that you could start a position up here, with pretty decent size, and if it decides to break below that 140 area, you can exit and then look for entries or finding a better average on the way down. If you think this is going to continue going higher and you don't want to miss the move, you could take it with pretty decent size here, break of that 148, 149 level, see if it pushes higher. That's one method, or you can just take the entry. If it breaks down, exit and then look to average down. It's a tough spot to start a long-term position on Apple up here, but you have different avenues you can kind of go to. A few people talking about PLTR day trade. Don't see anything on PLTR for as long as day trade goes. Long term, you can start here with room to add to 17. And you just got to wait it out. This is going to be a stock that's going to move very slow going forward. mRNA we talked about. NEO looks like she wants to move. What do you think? Let's take a look at NEO. Yeah, I mean Neo and EV sector should do well, but it's been fairly choppy. We really need this thing to break above that 46.50, 47 area for it to move higher. Until then, it can get pretty choppy. So in the meantime, if it can get back above the 45.30, 45.80, then we're looking at 46.70. There's just too much overhead resistance for day trade. However, you need to let it play out and do its thing. All right, guys, so it's 9 a.m. here. Gotta head out. If you guys are still here, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and make sure to tune in every Thursday at 8:30 a.m. And we'll do this again next week. All right, guys, thank you guys all for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Love you all, and have a wonderful day trading, and be careful and respect your stops.